we are back with the follow-up podcast, and we are diving into the final part of the lead up to Good Friday, the crucifixion, all of that. This is kind of the last free interaction that Jesus has as he's roaming around Jerusalem.
Yeah, Palm Sunday version 3.
Well, part 3.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Part 3.
Part 3.
Yeah.
So we really camped on Palm Sunday and the interaction after, the inspection of the lamb, the questions and all that kind of stuff. From the triumphal entry to his predicting the fall of the temple.
Did you just call it the inspection of the lamb?
Yeah.
I've never heard this section called that before.
Okay.
That's interesting.
So there's a lot of parallels to what happens to Jesus to what happens to the Passover lamb that's happening at the same time.
Interesting. Okay, so the people, the religious leaders of the temple, they're cross-examining Jesus's teachings,
right?
In a way, and that's kind of like the.
And in another way, they are inspecting the lambs that are to be for the Passover sacrifice.
I have never seen that parallel before.
Oh, really?
That is an interesting parallel. Okay.
Yeah.
And I know that the 4 Gospels do make a big deal out of the Passover.
Yeah.
As it's connected to this timing, but some of them put it in different spots. And there's like different ways of like explaining why the Passover is placed at different times. Like I think in Mark, the Passover is being celebrated during the Lord's Supper, but then in John, he presents the timing as like a different time that the Passover is taking place while Jesus is being crucified.
Right. Yeah.
I wonder what the reasoning is.
There's different theories on that. I just recently watched a scholar talking about the different theories, and one is a multiple day Passover, and it being it's not necessarily. We think of Passover as Jews celebrate it today. It is something that's done out of a synagogue, and it basically it's a meal with some prayers, that sort of thing. This is a temple situation. So you have the lamb sacrifice, and you have that whole process. So you got thousands upon thousands of people coming in for them to process all of that lamb. It takes it probably took more than a day.
Oh, interesting.
So you've got the whole ritual thing of the temple going on in addition to the Seder meals and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, I've never heard that theory either. That's an interesting way to think about that, because it's true. Like if they are all coming to one place, it's going to take a long time to do the process.
Right. You know, they probably bring in all the Levites they can to help expedite it, but there's kind of a choke point.
Right. Of course. Of course.
And there's different ones. The Essenes have a different Passover day that they celebrate, and so there's even like different enclaves throughout the Judea of when they do it. I mean, it's supposed to be the 14th of Nisan, according to Moses,
right?
And but they're aiming for. That's the target, and that's the crucial point. That's the remembrance. Let's put it that way. But then all the things that go along with it expand.
Might take more time.
Maybe take more time.
Yeah, I know.
Distance.
I know. Even within the law, there was a different amount of time for, like, where you could celebrate it at a different time if for some reason you missed it the first time. I know there were those kinds of exceptions.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a side note, but at least it does kind of explain all of this story within the whole Passover framework mindset. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So as we're getting through here, and just we're picking up in like around verse 35.
Chapter 12.
Out of chapter 12, and that's is that because this ties some of these things tie in with the temple?
So I kind of picked up on a hard break there when I was doing chapter 12, and I felt, he's relocating, he's focused on the temple, and then he starts, kind of rounding on it because he's going to really drive this whole, the temple's going to be torn down, and they ask why, how, when, and he goes into that description. And so it's kind of both sides, where he is like focusing on the temple and focusing on the reliance that people have on the temple as a proxy for access to redemption and salvation. And he's saying, you're missing the point. The temple is a place, a touch point to communicate and interact with God. It is not to take the place of that relationship.
So in this, I know you brought out like some of the things that people were trusting in, as far as their wealth, their heritage, or their positions, and then what was the thing about the temple that made it special for them to be trusting in, or what made that important to them?
Well, it's kind of the national symbol. It is the thing that makes them feel great. It is something even in the Roman Empire, they have a unique relationship with the Roman Empire over the temple. There's literally a sign that says Gentiles can't go beyond this point. If you do, your life is forfeit.
Oh, okay.
And the Romans put that. So
the one place where it's ours.
It's ours.
Kind of.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so it's like territorial, kind of.
Territorial, heritage, memory, culture, holding on to your identity in a way. And they were hanging on to that, and God was going to take it away.
Yeah. So this is all happening at the temple, just foretelling things there. He's already done a little bit of work ahead of time, cleaning out the temple, challenging
overturn some tables.
Challenging the leaders that are there.
Yeah.
And he's continuing to do that. We've got he's now presenting them with a challenge.
Yeah.
And asking them questions about
the
Christ.
Last thing I read was verse 34, and it says after that no one dared ask him any more questions.
Right.
And now he's turning it and he's asking them questions, making statements to them.
So this question here, is there an answer? Like Jesus is asking, David calls him Lord, so how is he his son?
Yeah.
Is there an answer to that question, or is Jesus kind of just laying it out there?
He's saying, I am that Lord to David. I think they're seeing David and the line and the promise in the line as anybody who is related to David could be the next Messiah when they're born, and
right.
We got to watch that.
So they had was it that they had an earthly mindset for the Messiah? They're thinking that this guy is just going to be one of us, but God's going to use him to do this, but they didn't have the divine connection.
Sure, yeah. But David says, Lord said to my Lord, he's recognizing that it's something that is greater even than David. And not the lineage thing is not as important as the Lord.
Okay. And this question is really, he's just trying to make this point about who he is even clearer to them. Like just saying like this, not just, who are you to have authority to be able to do the things and say the things you're doing? He's trying to say, I actually do.
Well, in a way, he is telegraphing, not really telegraphing. What is he's making room in their mind for the idea that Jesus is the Savior. So that the notion that it has to be someone who is recognized as a legitimate heir to the throne of David, and ruling as an earthly king, and David is greater than this person who comes later. He's busting out the walls on that idea, such that when he rises from the dead and when the gospel is proclaimed, they go, "Oh, now I see how that fits."
Like the light bulb moment. He's like, he's like plowing the ground. For what's about to grow there,
breaking up the ground.
And then in contrast to this, and almost like it's almost, is it connected or not? He starts talking about the leaders in that temple. These scribes and the way that they're behaving.
Yeah.
And in that, you talked about leaders who are craving attention, or who that's like this self-absorbed leadership kind of a model being presented here. Jesus is saying that this is a place where you're going to receive greater condemnation when you're stepping into that kind of thing.
Well, it's kind of like when you think of the accolades that you have in society or different places. You think of those accolades as they take the place of actually being a good person. As long as everybody around me says I'm a good person, then I am a good person. If everybody says I'm an honorable, so far above, smart, what have you, if everybody says that, then I am that, rather than knowing that from your creator and designer in a personal, honest level.
Looking for the fact that they're looking for external validation to their position.
Well, I think people who go around looking for external validation really reveal that they don't have a very high opinion of themselves. Right? It's an inferiority complex or an imposter syndrome, right?
I think imposter fits a little better because the things Jesus is saying here, he's saying that they are making a pretense and they are devouring these widows. So it's, even though there's this big show on the outside that is external validation, underneath is the opposite.
Well, it actually goes deeper than imposter. It's a wolf in sheep's clothing.
In that sense,
they're the opposite of what they're projecting, not just inadequate to what their position is.
So Jesus is trying to get them to see the flaws in this, inadequate type of leadership.
Depending on that, quit looking to that from the people's perspective, and quit depending on that from the scribe's perspective.
Yeah, it almost points to a narcissist kind of tendency that a person might have in a leadership type position, because in that mindset, the number one question that you're wanting to answer is, what do other people think about me all the time, or how am I perceived in here? It becomes every question and conversational angle becomes about yourself in some sense.
A narcissist actually believes that they are as great as they think they are. I mean,
So you think these guys are like disingenuous?
I think that they're malevolent. I think they're in it for personal gain, and they are using that position for that effect. And then they're giving a pretense, this outward coding, in order to go after that thing.
Yeah, it's just interesting, like, because in the abusive leader type situation, when you have that situation, like is happening here, I always do have this toss-up. Is the leader self-deceived enough to believe all these things are still true about them, as far as them being a good leader and doing these wrong things and having their excuse? And are they deceived enough to think that it's real? Or do they know that it's not real, and they know that they're abusive, and their conscience has just become okay with it?
Yeah,
I'm always in a toss-up on that whenever I hear of it.
Well, there's probably a mixed bag of, there's probably like scribes, they've studied in Torah school, they've worked really hard, they finally got there, and they're really gung-ho about, bringing Moses' law, to its perfection, and then there's probably the ones that have been a little more jaded over time, and they're like,
might as well just get what I can get while I'm here.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. That's just. I mean, it's very applicable in terms of in whatever capacity that we are leaders. Looking at where do we look for validation? Where do we what are we really at on the inside? Talking about when we're praying, where is that coming from? All that kind of stuff. And I think it is like a check moment for anybody in leadership when they're looking at to see this whole mindset of just what do people perceive, and what's my relationship with God really like?
And just is it really worth it? I was talking to somebody about, what was that? What were we talking about? We were talking about work or business or what have you, and there comes a point where you lose your soul, you lose your gumption to keep going, right?
The motivation.
Well, not just the motivation, but you just kind of go, I'm dead inside, but I'm going to keep doing this because I have to. because it's the thing that I have to do to survive or maintain this blah existence that I've got. Right? It's no longer the passion that it was. You've lost all relationship to it. You're just using it in a way.
Yeah.
And people do that with their faith, right? They go, I got married, had kids, I'm going to go to church because that's what good people do, and hang out there, and if I could somehow watch the football game while this guy is talking up there, I would be happy. At least there I can have some excitement.
So seeing the utilitarian kind of view of the kingdom of God, like this is useful to me, so I guess I'll just go along with it, as opposed to the vision for what the kingdom of God's really trying to accomplish and the inspiration that moves you towards that end. That's the distinction we're talking about here between the guy in neutral gear.
So you have to ask yourself, am I looking at my faith through the lens of the eternal cosmic weight that is what's really going on here? Do you really believe God is real? I mean, I was having a discussion with my kids, and they're like, how do you debate, Dad? How do you debate? And I go, I don't really like debate. What I like to do is get down to what a person feels is actually real and what is true. And if you know those things, then you can start to understand their argument and see what is missing out of it. And then you try to supply that back into it. And if you don't believe God is real, you don't believe sin is real, that there is any separation between you and God, then what's the point of going to church? What's the point of self-discipline, spiritual discipline, mission, purpose? What's the point of sharing your faith? What's the point of doing any of that if you don't believe God is real?
I don't think that you can fully divorce the practical benefits of a faith community from this faith thing, but there are practical benefits that somebody could, I suppose. I've talked to somebody within the last couple of weeks who, I go to church, but I don't really believe in God, or don't really, I'm not really engaged in what's here, but I still go because I want to be here with my friends or my family, or I have connection with people. And so there's a social aspect of it where we're going to be a part of it because it's the thing to do. And I would maybe even argue like a large percentage of Christian history that has been an experience within the church.
Well, people, when there's utter chaos in society, and you have this little group of people over here who are peaceful. They're orderly and they're peaceful.
Every week,
Right. But they're peaceful and orderly, right? Then these people go, hey, I want some of that. So they okay, I'll be like that for a while,
Yeah.
And they're kind of using it because they're like, oh, this is nice. God's principles do work.
Yeah.
But they ultimately devolve back into chaos if you don't get the relationship part.
Yeah. If you were there on Sunday and you happen to not believe in God, you still got to enjoy a wonderful potluck with us.
Well, yeah.
Right?
Your belly's full.
But you really missed out on the main
That's the main course. Right.
Yeah. Wild.
Yeah.
So this leadership stuff is very important to think about, and you've got this being called out and then contrasted. So there's this facade that people seem to put up this facade of hide behind this, and God's able to see through it. What are some of those facades that we might try to put up in place of, or
facade? Are we still talking about the scribes?
Yeah.
Okay. So scribes, they can communicate in their words and actions that they never have the problems that the rest of the people.
Well, already you've got this long robe thing, right? So it's very external and obvious.
And it's both sides, the whole honored individual. I've even had to deal with that. People are like, oh, if the pastor prays, it's better than if I pray. Okay, so like I've got an in, or I've got the bat phone to God.
Like speed dial.
I got God on speed dial. Yeah, okay. So it can, and people can have that attitude towards people who are pastors, clergy, what have you, and not recognize the priesthood of the believers and the effectiveness of their prayers.
Right.
With faith is just as good. Yeah. So, in some ways, I've had to, when someone comes with that kind of attitude, I've had to say, no, I'm a believer just like you. I may talk more and I may study more, but that doesn't make me a different person before God.
Right.
I still have to maintain my spiritual life. I still have to focus. I still have to deny myself. I still have to deal with the next thing that God is asking me to work on, just like you.
I think sometimes even in ministry, and I wouldn't even say like, oh, this is every day, but there will be these seasons of success that we might go through.
Yeah.
And in those moments, we kind of view that success model, whatever it might be that we're looking at, as the validation and verification of our relationship with God, our spirituality, and like, well, if I'm so bad, then why is this all going great over here?
Yeah,
like you could look at that as being maybe your facade to hide behind.
Yeah,
look at the evidence. I mean, everybody's getting on board, doing what they're supposed to do, so my heart must be right. When that, not necessarily.
Right. Yeah. You stop being self-critical or self-introspect, or letting God's Spirit speak to yours.
Yeah.
Because you go, I don't need to, because I've got all this other stuff.
Yeah. Obviously, it's working, so I don't need to change anything. That's kind of like,
let it ride.
That could be a facade. Yeah. Hide behind. Okay, and then we got the widow's offering here.
Yeah.
And the is it true that somebody said that there was some kind of a bell or something that they would throw their money into and it would make noise, and if the people who are rich, it made lots of noise, and then this lady's giving her little penny, it wouldn't make any noise hardly or something?
I've heard
that too, but I don't know.
I've heard there's like this weird kind of fluted thing that was metal that came up over the box, and it had like an opening here, and it went down, but as it did, it made noise. Or like a bowl kind of thing with like a fluted hole that it went to down in the middle.
Yeah.
And it would make a lot of noise. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I heard that they would literally have fanfare. People, hear ye, so and so is coming and is gonna give, right? Yeah.
And then, so in this, she's giving out of her poverty versus the abundance of those around. That this is like a greater, in some kind of sense, like a greater offering that she's giving.
Monetarily less, but proportionally more.
So, like, what's the math there?
Oh, I mean, if you had, she put in 2 small coins, is that what it says? 2 small copper coins, which means a penny. So you have 2 small copper coins out of 5. Well, then that's 2/5 of your wealth.
Yeah.
Okay. Versus if you give 100 gold coins out of 10,000. It's a much smaller fraction.
But why is it considered more by Jesus to give when you're poor? Because, I
think the rich person could have given 2/5 of his wealth, and it would have been the same.
Oh, so it's like percentage based?
Okay. Well, okay. No, you're right. It wouldn't be the same. It's the trust factor. It's the reliance. That poor woman could have looked at the rich man who came and gave and go, I don't need to give.
Yeah, like what difference is it going to make?
Exactly.
Yeah.
He gave. Mine is not even significant enough to merit anything.
Right.
She gave from her heart. He gave from his wealth and got the reward of notoriety.
So there's this kind of this idea when you give, if you do it from the heart for the right or the wrong reasons, maybe
it was an act of worship.
That's where the value
is. It was just between her and God. The wealthy person making the big show of it. It was between him and everybody watching.
Mm-hmm. So not so much about quantity, but about the attitude of the giver.
Sure.
And
I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not necessarily math. More like your heart of worship is more important than the amount.
And the wealthy giver was saying, I have just bought my and the response of the staff or the priests or whatever to that gift, they would say, oh, you're such a good man. You're such a great man. You're such an honorable man. They would just lavish on the praise. And that filled in the space of actually getting his heart right with God.
I wonder how often we feel like our gift or our talent or our whatever it is that God has given us is not good enough, and so we just decide not to use it. Like in her case, right? Here's this guy giving all this money, and she's got her 2 coins, and she's like, well, this is not going to make a difference anyway, so I'll just hang on to it. If that was her attitude, but in Jesus is saying the opposite is true. Yeah, that her gift would have been more valuable. So in some sense, this has to apply to other areas, not just money. Like we may think to ourselves that I can't give or I can't use my talent or whatever because I'm not as good as the next guy at whatever that thing might be. It might be speaking, might be some kind of music, might be some time that you spend having people at your dinner table. Yeah. But you think to yourself, well, if I can't do it as good as so-and-so, then I just might as well not. Jesus is saying flip that on its head. Do your best with what you have anyway.
Okay, run that. I'm not tracking with you.
So like the idea, she only has 2 coins. Yeah. They're not as good as the number of coins that this other guy has. But from her heart, she gives it to God anyway. Yes. As opposed to using that other guy's big shiny gift as an excuse not to give. Kind of like burying the talent in the napkin concept.
Sure, but I mean, she sees it. It's the relationship between her and God that's happening. Right. And that is, it's like nobody else in the world exists. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying is like take away the excuse of my gift or talent or what have you is not good enough. Take that excuse away.
It's not like God is sitting up there saying, oh man, I'm a little short in my accounts.
Like counting the beans of the stuff we give him. Yeah.
You know, all gold is pavement anyway. So
in heaven, somebody brought that up this week. I can't remember who it was.
Okay.
Where was that? What are you doing bringing this pavement
men's Bible
into
study?
Heaven? I think it might have been men's Bible study.
Yeah.
What are you doing bringing this pavement into heaven? Yeah. Okay, and then we start getting from this lesson, which is a lesson in what is great before God and not, or what is valued to God and not, kind of a lesson there. They start estimating the value of the temple. You know, saying, well, look how awesome this place is.
Wonderful stones, beautiful buildings.
Yeah. And then Jesus goes from there to talk about what's going to happen. Yeah. The end of the age and everything. This is the short version of the Olivet Discourse. You can find more in Matthew 24.
Yeah, there's a lot more that he says on Mount Olive. Yeah. And then you've got other things that come afterwards. But this portion is really focused on kind of apocalyptic stuff. Eschatological stuff.
Interesting. Okay. So in this, that's a word that means the study of last things for people who are tripping. So he's talking about the signs of the end of the age having to do with like persecution, right? So this idea that we're going to be preaching the gospel to maybe to people who are persecuting, or he's presenting that idea to the disciples that they're going to have to preach the gospel even up against some persecution, like in verse 9 and so on. I just wonder about this, because when I see this, I think that's not like a part of my life.
What?
This idea of going and preaching the gospel to like before councils and being thrown into prison and all, like, I've never seen that happen to anybody personally. Or like maybe I've heard about it on the news, Yeah. But it's like very far away of an idea.
Seems like it's getting increasingly more and more in different, especially in Western society.
What, like here?
Yeah, you've got various attacks on Christian expression in public. It's more so in Europe.
That's true.
Far more, and even in Canada.
Yeah.
They just outlawed reading the Bible if it disagrees with their woke interpretation of sexuality. You're not allowed to read the Bible out loud.
Seriously.
Yeah, yeah.
We should just, that Canada's not that far away. We should just go up north with some loudspeakers and shout some things over the fence at them or something. No,
over the fence.
Have you ever been to like Linden or Sumas or anything along the north border of Washington? It's so funny. Like across the street, there's literally like an 8-foot fence, and that's Canada.
That's Canada.
Like on the other side
of the street.
Yeah.
Oh, it's right through a town or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never been to Canada.
Oh, really?
Have you?
Yeah, but you're like really close. You might as well.
Well, we are. Yeah.
I've heard a fun thing to do is take a ferry.
Right, Vancouver.
There's a ferry that goes up there.
Yeah.
And I've heard they've got like some really nice gardens or something up there.
Right.
Yeah, I think Zimmer's been. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
The so that'd be fun.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea of like persecution is more like tightening the circle of where your thought is, like how you're allowed to think and what you're allowed to talk about. That's kind of where we're at.
Well, that's so Christianity. As it is coming into being here through Jesus, it bumps up against the Jewish culture.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, big time.
That's the kind of the first thing, and that's really where the initial rub is.
Mm-hmm.
The Jews try to characterize Christianity as anti-Roman,
mm-hmm.
Because they say Christ is king.
Yeah.
And there's not allowed to be any king but Caesar, and so or one that Caesar has appointed, and so they're trying to say this is the seeds of a rebellion, and so they're pointing at Christianity that way. And that eventually expands to where Rome comes down on them as well. And there's like direct persecution there. But the initial response because he even talks about the synagogues and they haul you in and they beat you and all that kind of stuff. It's like you're going to experience this from your own family, from your own people right here, and wherever the message goes.
Mm-hmm.
So
all right.
Persecution is when the culture of Christ's kingdom bumps up against a world culture, and there is an attempt to control
it. The world culture attempting to control Christianity,
a culture of the world.
Okay.
So that's been expressed different ways. Obviously, the Jews, the Romans, and down through the ages, you've had different ones. More recently, you've had atheistic governments like the Soviet Union, China. Korea, all those ones trying to, and then right now, you've got the woke ideology is we're bumping up against that culture, and it's attempting to silence Christianity.
Well, let's like unpack what that's all going to be, because you're talking about the Christian worldview and Christian ideology and even Christian culture, I guess, that comes from all of that.
There's a culture,
and then there's the culture we're living in. Okay. Some people might refer to the United States as a post-Christian nation in some sense.
Western civilization as a whole, you could say that.
Some would say that it is still a Christian nation since it's founded on Christian ideals and principles. What are some of the things that really do bump up against that are inherent to our United States culture and what Christianity
versus
teaches?
What is it the attempt to change it to?
Yeah, well, like the example you brought up is you brought up in using the word woke to refer to, but I'm assuming within that term you're specifically referring to things like our anthropology. What does it mean to be a human, and what does it mean to have sexuality and gender, and what are the ethics and the morals that go with that, right? That's all wrapped up in kind of that.
The primary thing that underlies woke culture is a presumption of oppression. Oppressor, oppress, or
oppressed,
the oppressed and the oppressor. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Is a dynamic that is across every dynamic of society, and so if you look for it, you find it everywhere, and then because you have found it, you can now rail against whoever you identify as the oppressor, and you're free then to take them down. You're free then to see them as the enemy.
The justification of some kind of retribution.
Yeah. Well, and the way you find it, the way wokeism finds this oppressor-oppression dynamic is by inequality. So if person A has more than person B, ergo person A is oppressing person B. And the solution is to take from person A and give to person B.
Okay. So we're overlapping into not just physical violence or other ideas bumping up there, but now what socioeconomic status, possessions, and those things are considered a form of oppression just by the one person having them?
It's every dynamic of society. So it's husband to wife, it's parent to children, it's teacher to student, it's employer to employee, it's neighbor to neighbor. It's any classification, anything that you can identify. Someone is winning because someone else is losing.
So everybody's fighting.
That's the goal.
Wow.
I mean, if Satan wanted something to be crazy going on, that would be what they would
if that's what's going on, then that's crazy. So what does the Bible and Christian view actually speak to that's different?
Yeah.
In terms of, I mean, so obviously on the terms of our humanity, right? Like we've obviously got this whole sexual identity problem in the United States of recent, that the Bible does not place our identity in our sexuality. Like that's just one part of our person. So there's obviously a huge conflict there. But what about all this other stuff? Like you're talking about this concept of oppression. What does
so
Christianity
when the Bible
speak
says
to
thou
that?
shalt not covet, and a huge portion of this inequality or equality stuff is not based on some right or some basis of being human that somehow we're going to be equal, but trying to make equal, force equality, force this one to come down, and then by my generosity lift somebody up. It is I can take from someone else by saying they took advantage of me or that they have an advantage over me. And so covetousness becomes enshrined under the guise of equality, in the guise of making something equal.
And covetousness, just to dispel that term, is the wanting things that you're not supposed to have. Something along those lines.
Well, that would be true covetousness. Yeah. They don't call it that. They say I am supposed to have.
Oh, okay. So the belief.
They say they are supposed to have what somebody else has in order to make them equal. They've raised equality of outcome.
Yeah.
Higher than the thou shalt not covet, and being content and working hard and all of those.
So work ethic comes into this.
All that plays into it, right?
The idea of bearing fruit and being rewarded according to your works. Very biblical Christian ideals that bump up against this. Everybody should just have a totally level bank account. Bumps way up against it.
They would say it this way, but to be equally miserable.
Yeah. And this is to distinguish. We're not even arguing in this necessarily against equality in terms of human value, dignity, worth. Right? The humans themselves, in their intrinsic value, who they are as a human, that's not variable. It has nothing to do whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're black or white, whether you're any kind of whatever sexuality. Your humanity is still way valuable and equally valuable in the eyes of God. All men are created equal. This is actually going back to United States ideals now.
Sure, right.
Yeah.
And those are derived out of the Bible. To say that all men are created equal as an ideal. Yeah. Whether or not it was fully in practice at the moment it was enshrined in
of course not.
Those things, it was still the ideal.
It was a high ideal that took time to bear fruit.
Right, to go for it. Right. But the ironic thing is the same people who are saying you want everything to be equal consider the unborn not worthy of life.
Right, so it's
not worthy of rights.
It's a double standard in that sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So clearly, if Christianity is going to is going to grow, then it's going to bump up against the United States, the present ideals being pushed in the United States, and not even wholesale, right? I would say the nation's divided on these issues.
Sure,
this is like we haven't presented. Hey, this is what everybody out there believes.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, there's a good number of opinions on this. But it's one example where at least in the university you're going to have some conflict.
Sure.
At least there.
Yeah. At least there in corporate circles, trying to implement woke policies there. So it butts up against the notion that man is God. Many people would never state it that man wants to be God, but ultimately they look at the things that God controls and say, yeah, we can improve on that.
I don't know. There's quite a bit. There's quite a blatant statement of this in like psychology, for example.
Yeah.
The self, like the self, becomes the pinnacle,
the ego, the id.
Right. Like the precipice of human achievement is trueness to oneself or congruity to oneself. That's pretty blatantly "I am God" type of statement.
Oh yeah.
And so it's not. I mean, I wouldn't even say people hesitate to say this.
Sure, I am the most important.
Just do what it takes to make yourself happy.
Oh yeah.
As long as you're happy, like it's.
Oh, you hear that all the time.
Yeah, right. It's very widespread. Follow your heart. Just throw that in there too, right?
So you deserve a break today.
Yeah, Christianity also seems to butt way up against and butt heads with. Yeah, of course we get a call.
Yeah, let's see here. What do we got? Oh, it's Bev Beasley. Let's see. Hi, Bev. Yes. We're in the middle of recording something at the moment. We'll be done in 10 minutes. But if it's real quick, I can do it now. Okay. Yep. I'm getting regular updates from Cindy on that. Yep. Okay. Appreciate it. Thanks. All right. Updates.
Yeah. Speaking of facade-free living, here we are with our taking calls. Yeah. Where we were going though? Okay, we were going on some ideals that Christianity conflicts with, and of course now we have 10 minutes. But one of those ideals in the United States is this ultimate plurality concept, which is very challenging with Christianity.
Plurality.
Yes, this idea that
I've not heard that.
Every person. Well, I mean, you've got the idea of like freedom of religion.
Sure.
This idea being like diversity and plurality of ideals, worldviews, religions. All of that should be equally entertained as the foundation of a society. Christianity eventually is going to butt heads with that because you do have Jesus standing up and saying, "I am the way, the truth, and the life.
No one comes to the Father but by me." Right.
That's another one. When we're encountering these conflicts of ideals, conflicts of values in a culture like we're in, like Canada's in, wherever, how do Christians do this evangelism thing on an ordinary level? Like, obviously, we're not being thrown in jail like these guys are here, but the evangelism bit still has to be going on. What does ordinary evangelism look like for us?
What does ordinary evangelism look like? Oh, in the face of a culture that is in opposition?
Well, but it's kind of the norm worldwide.
Sure.
Right? Wherever you go, you're going to have a little bit of opposition. How do you evangelize up against that?
I mean, you share your testimony. You act in a way that is consistent with Christ in you. So I used a situation that happened to me on Sunday of someone slashing my tires in the church parking lot.
All right. Crazy.
While I was in here studying for my sermon. Anyhow, but afterwards, I took the initiative. Instead of going straight for a police report, I put out on Facebook saying, "Hey, whoever did that, I'm willing to talk.
Yeah.
If you're willing to come, hopefully we can resolve it. Hopefully it was just a mistake. Something that you weren't thinking and you just thought would be fun.
An inebriated mistake.
Mistake kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, there were beer cans all over the ground. That kind of thing. And so putting that out there for a a time in order to hopefully seek redemption, hopefully seek restoration of relationship. That did not occur. I don't know if it never got to them or what have you.
It's hard to say.
But I did what I could.
Yeah.
And I could have spread the net a little bit wider, but I didn't want to
put an ad out in the paper.
I didn't want the rest of North Kitsap to know that Hansville had this issue.
Right.
Oh,
and all the home values plummet.
Yeah. It's all the pastor's fault. Anyhow. So, but I was putting it out there so that relationship could be restored. And I think if that had happened, that would have been a testimony. Rather than saying, I'm angry, I'm oppressed, I'm going to seek vengeance, and I want to, bury them as deep as I can. Because they inconvenienced me by slashing my tires.
If there was equality, then you could slash their tires back, right?
Sure, right.
So the point you're driving at, you're saying that there's a testimony aspect of it. I'm assuming that means that we speak up about what God has done or is doing in our life. Mm-hmm. And then there's the consistent living aspect of that, where you're living that out.
Right, yeah. So there's, what you're saying and what you affirm as true, and then living as if it's true.
Or living because it's true.
Because it's true, right. Yeah. I mean, not as if, not pretending, but your life is consistent with what you say.
But I'm going to put like a cutting edge on this, because here he's saying the gospel must be proclaimed to all the nations. So there's got to be some sense in which it is not just us waiting for the right, perfect, exact moment to share the gospel, hoping somebody will notice that we're doing good and living good. Like there's eventually there's this point where you do cross that national border to take the gospel to somebody.
Sure. Yeah.
And that might not be a national border. It might just be a couple of fences in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
That, the gospel needs to go to. Some tables that you might need to go sit at that you weren't going to sit at because the gospel needs to go to those tables.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is God calls us to go, and so that every people group of the world, I mean, it's Ethnos 360, which is one of our mission groups that we support.
Yeah.
Their goal, ethnos, they take that word nations, and it's really ethnos, it's people group.
Right.
Which breaks down, say you've got a nation like Papua New Guinea, or New Guinea. And within that, because it's so hilly and mountainous, there are distinct linguistic, cultural groups that don't have anything to do with anybody else. Right there. Yeah, and it takes a specific missionary willing to go in there, willing to spend the time, willing to learn the language, willing to communicate the gospel, so that they know and they have heard.
So ordinary, not so ordinary in some senses.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in all of this, you were kind of trying to draw and paint the picture of the chiasm kind of through this passage and the focal point of that. Yeah. And for people to understand when we say chiasm, this is referring to the most important point of a text, and it could be on a small level or a big level.
Sure.
But the most important point is not at the beginning, it's not at the end, it's right in the middle.
Yeah.
And so you're saying that, or you proposed on Sunday that one of the most, or the most important section of this discourse here is actually at this abomination of desolation.
Well, it's the two sides of that point. It's verse 12 and 13 and verse 14. So you have verse 13, you'll be hated for my name's sake, but the one who endures to the end will be saved. So there's that hope, and then there's that hope comes up against its most fearsome enemy in the abomination of desolation, which gives you the timing of when that will be necessary.
Okay.
When you see that happening, then you will know it's all over.
We're using long words here. What in the world is the abomination of desolation?
Yeah.
What is that? And why are they supposed to be looking for it to happen? And how does it go down?
I don't know exactly what it'd be. The Book of Revelation may give you some clues there.
But it mentions it
take
somewhere.
The two words. So abomination is using something God designed for something it is not designed for.
Is it a profanity of destruction?
Yeah.
If you wanted to call it that.
It's destroying what God has ordained, made, created. What is at the very foundational level.
Yeah. I just really pushed into this because Mark says, and I kind of take these to be the words of Mark, let the reader understand. Even though my Bible has it in red, I think that was a Mark parentheses, like, let the reader understand. So obviously, whatever this is, he feels like his audience would have understood what it was enough to say, hey guys, figure it out.
I mean, some point to AD 70 when Antiochus sacrifices a pig in the temple.
Yeah.
And that was like it desecrated the temple.
Yeah. Or the ultimate, like, AD 70 ultimate destruction of the temple.
Sure.
The whole not one stone on another thing that Jesus mentioned.
Yeah.
Kind of abandoning that house, if you will.
Sure. Yeah. It's down and it hasn't been rebuilt.
Yeah. I heard somebody mention this. I can't remember. I have all these conversations going, and then I also have reading. And and I've got all these ideas.
Which?
And asked me to cite where this came from. I don't know, man. I don't know. But somebody mentioned the idea that, like, it was like Jesus found leprosy in the house, like the temple.
Sure.
The old leprosy laws. Yeah. And when he went to clean it out the first time, and then he came back, and it was still there. Because he did the cleansing of the temple, the leprosy.
Oh, you're talking about turning the temple, chasing the money changers out.
Yep,
that's like akin to detecting leprosy.
Yep. And what are you supposed to do with the house if you still find leprosy there?
You just have to tear it down.
You tear it down. And I've heard people make that whole connection in the temple destruction. Just another interesting.
Sure. Well, in the fig tree, and he looks for it, and then he says, "You're cursed," and then it's gone.
Yeah. So this abomination, desolation. Mark expects his readers to understand it kind of precisely as a historical event. You alluded to AD 70 in your sermon and in here in this room.
Sure.
Was that it, or?
No. I think if you look at prophetic things all through Scripture, there is a local fulfillment, and then there is a final fulfillment, and maybe even reverberations in between, as it like propagates back.
Kind of like the birth pangs that Jesus describes of like you're feeling that it's going to happen, and then it happens.
It's a start, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. So does that mean that there's a future one then?
Abomination. Some have pointed to like tribulation things that are mentioned in Revelations as a type of.
Because I think your Antiochus one you mentioned is like a good example of like a prefiguring, because that happened in like the 300s BC or something like that. I'm trying to remember, but because Daniel mentioned it.
Oh,
Daniel mentioned it in his Daniel 9.
But because that's what sets off the Maccabees. Right?
Yeah. Okay. That's what got them going. Yeah.
But there is something. I mean, obviously, the destruction of the temple in 70 AD.
Yeah.
I thought there was a desecration then as well.
There probably was.
Okay.
There probably was. You have to read. It would be Josephus would tell you all about that, right? Because he's the one who records that whole thing going down.
Okay.
Yeah. We got to read all of Josephus and get back to you next week. No, I'm just kidding.
We're not going to do that. Well, maybe just relevant passages.
Right. Do a quick search. Cool. Okay. Now, so you're leaving open the possibility that there's a yet to be fulfilled aspect to that, and I know we don't want to run out of time, and we're getting to prophecy, which means we're like opening the whole can of worms, kind of. So there's some things in here Jesus talks about, like in verse 27, gathering the elect from the four winds, from the ends of the earth, and everything. Is it the rapture or what? Like
gathering from the four winds. Okay.
Like in verse 27.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, there is. Christ will rule. There will be the new heaven and the new earth.
Yeah.
And yes, they will be brought together at that time. It could be the rapture. The rapture is a taking out, and then the new heavens, new earth is a coming to live here in a new era phase of life. So I think it's more having the idea of he's going to claim us. He's you won't be left out in the cold
Mm-hmm.
going, I wonder if he ever comes back while he's, a continent away ruling just fine.
Oh yeah, like the idea that the kingdom would start and you forgot to show up or something.
Yeah, wasn't
like,
invited to the party.
He's gonna make sure you're there. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes total sense, and maybe not in the sense we would have understood it, but still, it's the gathering of his people.
Sure.
This is like legitimately, yeah. And as we read it on further, there's like more enigmas that pop up in here, and I know we could spend all day drilling these.
There's tons.
One that I love that he says in here though that is a head scratcher. Is he says, truly, I say to you, this generation will not pass away till all these things take place. So does that mean we miss the rapture and everything?
No, I think that points to a local fulfillment versus a final fulfillment. That generation saw 70 AD.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that one in particular is pointing to fulfilled.
I would think so.
In history.
Well, they would see the beginnings of how this will work. I mean, they would see, Christ's death, that was still yet to come. They would see the temple destroyed. They would see the church born, the church expanding, the conflict between both the Jewish culture and the Roman culture and other cultures would all be visible to them in that generation.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So earlier on in the sermon, we had kind of we're learning to let go of our trust in our wealth, position, progeny, and place,
right,
or whatever,
and all that makes sense when you put it into the context of this.
Yeah, but what if they're not? If they're supposed to let go of what they were depending on there, like what are they moving their dependence to? They're not supposed to depend on all those things. Then what are they supposed to depend on, and how's that? Close that idea.
I know the answer.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how it is communicated to them here.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, he's saying the Son of Man, the lesson of the fig tree, the branch. So knowing that it will happen. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that the coming of the Son of Man in 24 through 27. There is hope that he will come. That there will be a gathering together.
Mm-hmm. He's going to shake some things up.
Like God comes for his people. I think it's huge for them to understand that. Mm-hmm. In the face of this kind of persecution. And then like the last section there, concerning the day or the hour no one knows, be working when the master comes. Stay awake.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that kind of, the idea of working it out then is the dependence on and the expectation of Christ's return is supposed to motivate us and inspire us to carry on this work of taking the gospel to the nations.
Yeah.
Is that what we're seeing as you're not depending on this anymore. Now you're depending on this. You're not doing these same old things anymore. Now it's the Great Commission in the power of Christ and expectation of his coming. Is that the big cookie?
Hope.
Like hope.
The reason why we depend on such short-sighted things as heredity and money and position are because we don't know what else to hope in. Those things at least give us a measure of control in this life, or at least the feeling of it. When in fact they give us no control in the life that matters, which is eternity. What Jesus is saying is, you've got a friend in me. To quote Toy Story.
Oh, okay.
If we are together, then your transition into the eternity that is to come, that is the only thing that matters. That's the only thing that gets you through, that prepares you for the situation, that gives you the ability to handle it. Not you the ability, but because you're dependent on someone else. If you were incapacitated, if you fell, broke both arms, both legs, right? And you were like, I have no hope, okay, of moving.
Yeah.
And a friend comes along who can pick you up. You don't you don't bargain with that and go, well, it's nice to have someone pick me up, but I've got this really nice shirt on. And that is what is the reason why I'm picked up, is because I look so nice in this shirt. No, recognize that it is the very grace of God that picks you up and carries you through. I don't know if I'm quite landing the significance of it there.
Yeah, well, I guess there's multiple aspects to what it means to be trusting in Jesus,
sure.
and to be living out of that power. And I guess where my breaks are is I'm just kind of like trying to find all those aspects through the text here. But yeah, everything you said there about our relationship with Christ,
sure.
I mean, that's true of him, that he doesn't look at us to pick us up. He doesn't look at us and like go through the checklist of like, well, did you do all the things? Because if you didn't do all the things, then I can't pick you up. Like, that's not how he's.
No. Yeah. You just have to say, please pick me up. I accept your picking upness.
Yeah. So he. We're like making up words. It's awesome. So he closes this chapter with the admonition that they ought to stay awake and to watch. Right. So how do you do that?
Yeah.
Like,
well, I think the watching.
We obviously have no problem staying up late and talking and painting houses
or talking to adult children.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have no trouble missing sleep, but is that what he's talking about?
No. I think the watching is not so much scanning the horizon to see if Jesus is coming back. I think it is to look for what the kingdom is doing right here, right now, and being involved in it.
Okay.
What is God asking you to do? If you're following the master's lead now, when the master comes back to settle all accounts, you're going to be in the right place.
Watch doesn't mean look. It means stay awake.
Stay awake.
Okay, so staying awake is we're aware of our responsibilities.
Sure.
And what God has called us to do right now.
Oh, yeah.
And that we're busy about doing those things.
Yeah.
Sounds like the Great Commission.
It is in this right passage. There. Okay,
okay. Yeah, all right.
In its form.
So if we're doing that, okay, let's do that then. So all the people with their telescope facing east right now, waiting for that lightning,
Yeah, and not doing what God asked them to do. They're kind of off base. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Well, that's our admonition then. So for this week, that is going to be celebrating the resurrection.
Amen.
And we're proclaiming that.
Yes.
To people.
Yes, we are.
Cool.
Looking forward to it.
Okay.
As always, thank you for being with us. And if you have any questions, leave them below. Comment and subscribe. We should be asking for that.
Something
more.
Like that. Yeah.
Comment, subscribe.
If you found this episode helpful, share it with somebody.
Yes. Yeah.
If you want to know what the abomination of desolation is, send us that question.
Sure. Yeah. And we'll do the Josephus reading.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Love you guys. We'll see you again very, very soon.